All right, what's going on, guys? Graham, Gius, and Matthews here. Today, we're talking another movie review, kind of different than the normal Marvel movie reviews that we usually do here on the channel. Last one being Shang-Chi a couple of weeks ago. Today, we're talking Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the highly anticipated sequel. We're doing a little bit of a different approach here today. Me and Doc, well, let's bring on the man himself, Doc, Chris Mueller, on the Twitter machine, BR_Doctor. Chris, what's going on, my man?
Oh, not much. I am excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well. We're not only going to be talking about the movie, we're going to be talking to someone that was involved with the movie and has a very impressive track record and a lot of accolades. We'll be talking to, someone that was a part of the movie and sang one of the songs or took part in one of the songs in the movie Last One Standing. Skylar Grey. Skylar, how are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Fantastic. And we've been looking forward to this for a while. We actually just spoke to Elliott Taylor, obviously, your guy just a week or two ago, the man behind the Bryan Danielson AEW song. And Chris kind of made the connection there. Him making the connection to you.
Skylar reached out, actually. She's the one who connected me.
Oh, really?
Elliott. Yeah.
Well, give me the background here. I know we've already talked about this privately, but for the sake of this review, give me the backstory here, Chris.
Well, just after the interview with Bryan went up, Skylar reached out and was just like, hey, Elliott and I wrote the song. And then from there, we just kind of built towards speaking with Elliott and now with Skylar.
Well, I didn't know that you guys did like a review for these movies, and
this is like a separate thing that we do on the side from the normal writing that we do, because it's a sports website, so they're not gonna they don't do too much. Like the fact that they put up the Elliott interview from that was cool, but this is just like a bit of fun. We tend to have on other people from writing media and stuff like that to review these kind of things.
Cool.
Yeah. We've been talking about this stuff for a while. I mean, we started this about a year and a half ago, like at the very beginning of the pandemic. I mean, it was a couple of years ago that I reached out to you, Chris, and I was like, hey, if we did like a Marvel podcast, because I knew you were a Marvel fan, and we've talked about it before, I think maybe just on Twitter or whatever.
Well, did we do the Mandalorian first?
No, we did the movies first. I mean, we did the Marvel shows after the Mandalorian, but I don't think we did the first season. I knew you liked the show. I don't know how we talked about it, but I just knew that you liked Marvel, and I was thinking, hey, if we ever do something Marvel related, because they wanted to do more stuff like that, because I see all the movies, I watch all the shows, why not just talk about it? And you were like, yeah, for sure. And then when everything kind of the world shut down, so to speak, at the beginning of last year, I'm like, hey, no better time than now when people have the time to be watching these movies. Started breaking them down, and here we are a year and a half later. And now we're kind of branching off. Obviously, a couple of months ago, we talked Suicide Squad. Today, we're talking Venom. We haven't reviewed formally the first movie here on the channel before. But I was looking forward to this one because I thought this was a great movie, and for you to kind of connect the dots and get Skylar on here as well has been awesome. So Skylar, before we go any further, you mentioned it real quickly. We talked to Elliott a week or two ago. I put up the interview a couple of days ago. Talk about the involvement on your end and being involved with Bryan Danielson's music, Born for Greatness in AEW, and how that all, that whole thing kind of came about on your end.
Oh, well, with that song, we were actually, I remember being really hungover. And we were just like sitting on the couch being complete lazy couch potatoes, and then Elliott got a text from Bryan, who we're friends with. We are kind of neighbors in a weird way, from the same area or living in the same area, and so he hit him up and was just like, I need a new walkout song. Elliott stood up off the couch and he was like, let's do this. And it was like a quick hangover cure for me, because having a project and something to focus on just like woke me up. So we went up to our studio. We have a studio on the third floor of our house, and we went up there and we just were like, okay, he wants to incorporate this chant. He wants to incorporate the Flight of the Valkyries, and we want to make it like new and fresh and like have a new part of the song, like a chorus. And so we just kind of like figured it out. We mapped it out, like I kind of like we did the chant, and then we chopped it up and we put Flight of the Valkyries. I mean, initially it was all, the samples, but then we had an orchestrator re-record it, like the orchestra part, and I put a beat on it, and then we sent it off to our producer friends to kind of like spruce it up, and we wrote this hook, Born for Greatness. It just felt right, and yeah, it happened super fast. And then It was like only a few days and then it went live. So I think Bryan reached out to us like, I don't know if it was like Monday and then it aired on Sunday. It was
That's
a super
crazy.
fast turnaround situation. And, but we were really grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, obviously, this is not your first foray into the professional wrestling world, because when we were talking to Elliott last, a couple of weeks ago when we first spoke with him, and he mentioned you. I know Chris, we had spoken about it over DMs that you guys were together. He had mentioned your name, and I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? I'm a moron. I mean, I didn't look you up initially, but I'm like, why does Skylar Grey sound familiar? And then being a big fan of the song Rise, which was the theme song for WrestleMania 31, 6-7 years ago, I'm like, holy shit, she performed at WrestleMania. I knew exactly who you were at that point. I'm like, I have like at least 6 or 7 songs that you've participated in on my phone right now. I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. So this isn't your first time in being involved with wrestling. So talk a little bit about that. You performed at WrestleMania, stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I can't even remember the order, but I've performed at WrestleMania 3 times.
Oh my God.
Once was with Puff Daddy. We did Coming Home.
Mm-hmm.
Once was with Machine Gun Kelly.
Wait, were you there when Machine Gun Kelly got powerbombed through a table?
I don't know. Was that like
you
the
would have
same time
remembered that? Trust me.
No, that was a Raw, I think, a couple of months later. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If it wasn't WrestleMania, then probably not, but that would have been funny though.
No, this was WrestleMania. And then I did Rise, as you mentioned, with Travis Barker and Kid Ink. Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what years those were, but
yeah. But still, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I remember exactly what you're talking about. The 31 was in 2015. The Puff Daddy one, I think it was WrestleMania 29 in New York, or was that the New Jersey one?
Yeah. No, it was in, I don't know. But
either
it had,
one.
Like, the Statue of Liberty in like, there was like a replica. Yeah,
MetLife Stadium. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So for the fact that you were involved with the song is awesome. We asked Elliott last time, but you got to be interested at some point if the opportunity presented itself to be performing that song live at some point. That would be definitely a cool thing to have happen.
Yeah, that'd be super epic. And I don't know if he mentioned this to you, but like, it's also a really small world because Elliott knew Nikki and Brie Bella separately from me. I met them because of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And he knew them. I think he met them in some bar. And so like when we all started hanging out, we had like different connections to the group. And yeah, so they're like our little, wrestling family.
That's awesome. I think I asked Elliott at the end of the last interview, but have you guys, to your knowledge, been featured in an episode of Total Bellas or Total Divas at any point?
We have not, but we've been on their podcast.
Okay.
But we've not been on the show.
All right. If it comes back for another season, it's still possible that could happen at some point. But
they just decided to relaunch their podcast, didn't they?
I thought it was still going. I don't know if it ever stopped.
Or did they get a new streaming partner or something?
I think they might have gotten a new partner.
There was something in the news a week or two ago about it, I feel like. And it was like they kind of made a big deal out of it. Like I don't know, maybe they have a new sponsorship deal or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I know that there was something about it recently. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk about this song for Venom here. So Last One Standing, you recorded this with who was it? It was Eminem,
right? Eminem,
Polo G, and Mozzie.
Yeah.
So how was that?
Well, so actually this song is the hook is something that I've had for like 5 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
like when I write a lot of songs and then sometimes they don't find a home and they just sit in a Dropbox folder for like years. And so this is one of those situations where I have this Dropbox folder. I have a few people I work with like pitching the songs to different things occasionally. And when something comes up, like Venom's looking for an end title and here's kind of what they're looking for. And then it gets sent to them. That's kind of like how my business works on a daily basis. And so this one just happened to fit. But it was just a hook and a track. And then when we found out that Sony Pictures wanted to use it for Venom, we decided to put some rappers on it. And Polo G and Mozzie were the first rappers we got on it. And then I have a history of working with Eminem, and he did the first Venom movie end title song.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so I was like, it would make sense to like have him on this too, because it would pay homage to the original. And so I hit him up and he agreed to get on it. So here we are.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's obviously the very end of the movie. People can stick around to hear it. And that is cool that you got Eminem involved. So that was solely
people are sticking around for that end credit sequence. So
exactly.
Everybody has heard that song.
Yeah. So that was solely your idea to get Eminem involved with the movie. And if that wasn't your idea, then he probably wouldn't have been involved with the song.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he has a relationship with Sony Pictures and Venom from the first time, but for this particular song, I was just like, I want him on it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Like you said, you can hear it at the very end of the movie, and it's cool because that first song that Eminem performs as part of the first movie is so memorable. And I just rewatched it like right before I saw this one. And I'm like, oh yeah, they hopefully would have him do something similar for the second one. And there's bound to be a third one. So hopefully you guys can be involved with that too at whatever point that comes out. But you mentioned before we hit record here that you saw the movie in the theater. Obviously got to hear the song performed when it, came on the screen. But what were your thoughts on the movie, and when did you go see it? Was it like the first weekend? Was it soon after? Talk to me about that.
I'm pretty sure I saw it the first weekend on Sunday. I loved it. I really loved it. I think I loved it more than the first one. It was kind of like funnier, lighter hearted, but really entertaining.
Yeah, it was great stuff. And the first one was so unique as well. And I thought this one, I talked to a lot of people who said that it wasn't as good as the first one, but still very good, or exactly what you just said, where it was even better than the first one. And you would think for a 90-minute movie, sometimes like I see 90 minutes and I'm like, how much can you really do in 90 minutes? But that wasn't the problem with this movie at all. They managed to get a lot in there for it to be entertaining and kind of leave people looking forward to hopefully another installment. Chris, I don't think we've spoken a lot about the movie. I know we talked about it right after it came out thinking, I don't think we had seen it yet when we first talked about it. I think you just said you saw the spoilers for the post credits.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it too much because Phil was there and we didn't want to spoil anything for Phil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's usually how it works. So talk to me about the movie on your end, Chris, as far as what you thought of it.
I really liked it. I liked it better than the first one, actually. I thought it moved at a very quick pace and it just was a fun movie. And Woody Harrelson, you can never really go wrong casting him as an insane person. And Naomi Harris is outstanding too. Like, she's been in so many great things over the years. Like, she's Calypso from Pirates of the Caribbean and all that. So to see her get to play this character was really cool. And what's interesting to me is that might be the first sign of actual mutants in Marvel movies, because she plays a character named Shriek, who is a mutant in the comics. And they used the word mutations in this movie, which Marvel has specifically avoided because of the whole Fox X-Men deal. So that could be just the first step towards them actually introducing those characters.
Were you a little surprised they didn't include any of the other, not mutants, but just other characters from that universe when they were at I'm forgetting the name, but like the jail that she was in or where she was being held before she was rescued by Carnage? They didn't include any other like shout outs to their characters or references to anyone. I think there was that one guy, but I'm not really sure it was supposed to be anyone from the comics. Were you surprised by that, Chris?
No, not really, because I feel like they were building towards that end credit sequence. So anything they build in that universe might not matter going forward if Tom Hardy is part of a different universe.
So let's talk about that from the get-go, because that was obviously the biggest takeaway from this movie. What do you think the future of this franchise is? I mean, they're obviously setting up a third movie. They kind of made reference to that in said post-credit scene, talking about the voices or, the history, like 80, whatever it was exactly. But they clearly set up a third movie. Do you think that at some point they're kind of going to pass the ball of Tom Holland from the Marvel universe to this one, and he'll be involved with these movies going forward, or in No Way Home might have been, might be like his finale, so to speak, in the MCU? Or what do you see being the future of the franchise for Venom, Chris?
I could see them folding the Venom stuff into the major like MCU stuff, just because Sony and Marvel seem to have a really good working relationship over this. But I don't know. I mean, Skylar, how familiar are you with the rest of the Marvel stuff that's been going on? Are you a big fan of it?
I mean, I'm pretty much only involved on music stuff is what brings me into the world.
Gotcha.
So like I wrote a couple songs for Suicide Squad.
The first one or the most recent one?
The first one.
Okay.
And I love all this stuff. I get super entertained by the movies and whatever, but I'm like not super like up to speed on all the characters. And like I was just thinking like I did Aquaman, but that's not Marvel, is it?
No, that's DC.
That's DC, right?
That's the same thing as the Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So see, I don't
So
know.
did the post credit sequence to Venom make sense to you at all?
Did you even stick around for it?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Did it make sense?
Well, like, because Tom Hardy sort of sees the news announcement revealing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, which is that that's all from the Disney Marvel universe, and up until now, all the Tom Hardy stuff has sort of been considered separate and part of Sony's little world.
Oh.
So they're implying that he got transported to a different part of the multiverse, quote unquote.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because the WandaVision show that was on Disney Plus also sort of referenced that a little bit, and then the Loki show opened it up. It's a crazy thing. Like, honestly, following this Marvel stuff, it takes so much effort because you have to watch all of it to get any of it, it seems like.
It's almost sorry, go ahead, Scott.
It's just a lot of it's over my head, to be honest.
But I think that's what's cool about this Venom movie is it's not really that connected to everything else. So you could go into this almost not even having seen the first one, and within 5 or 10 minutes you sort of get what the character is. Yeah. And then you can just have fun with the movie from there.
Wait, is Tom Holland, he's the new Spider-Man or the current Spider-Man?
Yep.
Yes.
So I was little piece of trivia. I was DMing with Tom Hardy and he said that Tom Holland played his like kid in, do you remember that movie Locke? The one that Tom Hardy did where he's like in the car.
I haven't seen that. Have you, Chris?
This sounds familiar.
It's like Locke.
Tom Holland played his kid in that?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean,
yeah. I'm trying to remember like.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. It's just like such a small world. Like,
that's so funny.
Interesting trivia.
Because Tom Holland's name in the movie is Eddie Locke, which is so close to Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy's name in this movie.
Oh, that is so funny.
That's crazy. So why were you guys discussing that of all things over DM? The fact that he played Tom Holland or Tom Holland.
Because I'm a huge Tom Hardy fan, and I was just telling him how much like I love all his movies.
Oh, that's awesome.
Locke was one of my favorites, and he was like, he just mentioned that little bit of trivia.
That's cool. How so? I guess in just doing the music, were you able to meet any of these people that were involved with the movie, or just kind of do the track and that was your part?
I mean, I would have probably, but it's with COVID and everything, we pretty much stay. I just work from home, so and I live in Napa Valley, so it's like if I was in LA or whatever, but it's just cool to like be connected with Tom Hardy, and I've met some really cool people from Sony Pictures, so it's been awesome.
In doing everything that you've done, and all that, we were talking about, Chris and I were talking about over DM a while ago, and all the shows that you perform for him, and obviously not even WrestleMania, but just everything in general, all the people that you've met, and all the talk shows, the late night talk shows and stuff like that. Is there anyone that you've met that you've still been I mean, you've been doing this for a very long time, so by this point, a lot of people just get in the process of it being normal. But for you, are you still starstruck by anyone that you've met in this world?
I'm always starstruck.
Anyone name come to mind?
I used to say like, oh, I don't get starstruck, but I was just trying to be too cool. Like, of course I get starstruck. Like,
That's so
I still get starstruck working with Eminem, like I listened to him when I was a kid, and I can't believe that he has been so supportive, and we've done like over a dozen songs. We've worked on over a dozen songs together, and like whether he knows it or not, he's kind of like my mentor. But it like, it's just weird. And yeah, I'm still struck by that.
You've worked with some big names. I mean, it says you've done stuff with Celine Dion, Christina Aguilera, Nick Jonas, CeeLo. Like,
yeah,
you know, you've definitely been around the block when it comes to the songwriting thing. Do you prefer writing songs for other people or for yourself? Like, do you go into a song thinking this would sound really good in this person's voice?
No, I mean, that happens sometimes. Like the Celine Dion thing was like, I want to write a song for Celine Dion. And so I did. But usually, you know, I prefer to write songs for myself. I like grew up imagining myself being a recording artist, not a songwriter. But then it kind of happened when I wrote Love the Way You Lie for Eminem and Rihanna. It was an accident. Like I wrote the hook and I wasn't expecting my voice to be replaced on the hook. But I'm happy about it because Rihanna's amazing and it blew the song up to have them both on it. So, but that kind of put me on this path that I wasn't expecting in my career of like writing songs for other people. And I did it for a while and it was like really good money. But it's at some point I like last year made the decision to kind of stop doing that because it's not really my passion. It's like good money, but like it's not really how I want to be spending my days.
Yeah.
I like
to be the one performing your own music.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like I like to make the art and not like hand it off. It's like to me it almost feels like I'm painting and then I like hand it over to somebody else to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like then it's not really my painting anymore.
Yeah.
I want to see it through to the end and be like, this is my piece, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I mean, especially right now, and especially we're still in the midst of a pandemic, so you still get to do stuff from home, which is awesome. Are there any, obviously you're always working on songs like you mentioned, but is there any like one or two things you're working on at the moment that you find super exciting that you're looking forward to kind of develop going forward?
I mean, I'm just working on my album,
mm-hmm.
Which is self-produced and it's really sad. So I love it.
That's awesome.
And then I'm constantly looking for more opportunities like this Venom thing because, you know, there's so much music being released every day and it's really hard to cut through the crowd unless you have a platform. And like being attached to a huge film like this, my numbers have gone crazy because of this song. Like before the song came out, I think my Spotify listenership was like 2.3 million monthly listeners. And right now, and it's still going up, right now it's 10.3 million.
Oh my God.
So my numbers have gone crazy just because of this one song. I mean, a lot of that has to do with Eminem being on it too, because, you know, he's got a huge fan base. Also, Polo G has a huge fan base. And then the movie itself has a huge fan base. So having these moments where I can get out there and get in front of more people, then, you know, when I drop a song of my own, there's more people, you know, waiting for it. So it's kind of like I simultaneously am working on like my passion art projects and these like big, you know, moments.
That's awesome. This is going to sound like a weird question. Do you ever read the comments under the YouTube videos for your music?
Not really. Why?
It's probably a good idea not to for most people, but under the YouTube comments for this song, like the majority of the ones that I read were about how your voice sounded, not the fact that Eminem was on it.
Oh, well, that's nice. I mean,
I thought it was funny when you said that your usual Spotify listenership, it's just 2.3 million. I mean, that's, you know,
no big
just
deal.
2.3 million, you know. I mean, obviously 10.3 is that much higher, but that's still pretty impressive in and of itself. Like I said, when Chris said that you were linked with Elliott, I'm thinking, why the fuck does that name sound familiar? And like I said, I'm kind of going, I mean, obviously a quick Google search would have solved that problem. And he's telling me all that you did. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But I'm like, why does that name sound so familiar? And I'm like, if I heard the voice, I mean, this movie came out like a week after we were talking about it. So I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. But like the Coming Home song was like my anthem in high school. Like that was my shit, you know? So like, that's such a great song. With the fact you've been involved with so much other, you know, equally cool stuff, if not even better than that over the last decade is awesome. I was going to ask you this before, but I forgot about it. So when you go see Venom, going back to Venom for a moment, is Elliott a big superhero fan? Does he like this stuff too? Or is it just, did he just go see it with you, or did you go see it by yourself just because?
No, he came with me for sure. We do everything together.
Awesome. Does he like this stuff, or is he just kind of along for the ride too?
No, he loves this stuff too. I mean, I don't think he like knows all the facts and stuff. Kind of like in the same boat as me, but he watches all these movies when they come out. He loves the action and the characters and stuff.
Yeah, it's a fun way to kind of turn your brain off. We both really love
Venom because we love the anti-hero aspect of it, and like I love how the Venom character is like, I mean, technically kind of a villain, but also like super endearing.
Yeah. No, I thought that was great with this movie because he is kind of an anti-hero, and he was like the Venom character itself, not even Eddie Brock. He was like, I'll kill people, but like it has to be a bad guy. Like they made that distinction where he was going to eat that guy's head off. And I think he did when he was robbing that woman. Like he was like, it was outside in like an alleyway or something like that. And he ended up eating that guy's head off just because he pickpocketed or took her purse or something like that. So I like how they make that.
That's very comics accurate for the character. But yeah, he was the one sort of pushing Eddie to be like, we could be out there solving crimes. Like he was the one who wanted to be a hero. And that was kind of funny to me. Like he's the one who cracked the serial killer case and found where the bodies was. Like that wasn't Eddie, you know? The investigative reporter. That was Venom.
Eddie didn't do shit.
I love how Venom, the character, not Eddie Brock, I love how he gets like attached to those chickens.
Yeah.
You know that part of the movie?
Like as pets, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I can't eat those guys. They're like my pets. I loved that part so much. I thought it was so cute. It was like adorable.
Was awesome. Yeah, that whole scene, every time they're in the apartment and they're talking about like they're fighting like this old, you know, married couple type thing, and then they have the breakup and they get back together. Like I said, the fact they were able to include all of this in a 90-minute time frame, and a lot of these movies, I just saw 007 like the other day, and it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Great movie, but like ridiculously long.
They try to pack so much into them nowadays.
Yeah.
Both the last Avengers movies were almost 3 hours. Like,
so is the Eternals. The Eternals is the second longest Marvel movie they're doing. That's out next month, and it's
this new Batman movie is supposed to be 3 hours.
Oh my god, dude! Like, I don't have the time for this stuff. Like, it's good shit, but like, it's way too long. So the fact this was 90 minutes was great. It was over in a blink. And I was going to ask too, is Chris, I'll start with you. Do you feel the fact that it was PG-13 restricted them in any way? I forgot that the first movie was PG-13. That was a little darker in terms of how some of the kills went down. This wasn't nearly as, I just saw Halloween Kills the other day too, and that was dark as shit compared to like, as far as this stuff, compared to the stuff that I saw in this movie. But do you feel like the PG-13 rating restricted them at all, or do you think it was just perfect?
I mean, you know, I'm sure there's some people involved in the movie who would have liked to go harder on the blood and gore, but the vast majority of the violence in this wasn't directed right at other humans like it was in the first movie. Like when you had Venom just taking out swaths of different, you know, goons that were being sent after him. And this, it was like the majority of the violence was sort of him versus Carnage at the end. So when you have these two like weird alien creatures that are sort of just big puddles of goo, you can kind of do whatever you want because nothing's really bloody at that point, you know?
Yeah, no, it didn't really bother me too much. And I thought from what they did, and like they would also imply a lot of stuff, like when Carnage ate like the priest's head off at the end, like obviously it's a disgusting scene, but you don't see anything. Like it's all kind of implied stuff. Did that bother you at all, Scarlett, the fact that it was PG-13 and then it wasn't rated R and they could have gone a little more with it? Or were you content with what you saw and you were entertained just with what it was?
I was content with it personally. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, now my buddy's a huge Venom fan, so he was hoping it was going to be rated R, but the fact that it was PG-13, I was like, I wasn't skeptical might be the right word, but I mean, I figured it would still be a good movie as much as the first one was. But yeah, no, this was a blast. I mean, obviously talking about your stuff, Skylar, the movie itself, As we wind down here, and Zoom's going to kick me off in 5 minutes because I guess you can only have 30-minute meetings before it boots you off. But any other movies, kind of getting off the Venom thing for a second, but any other movies that you and Elliott are looking forward to seeing? Are you much of a movie person, or, stuff that you're looking forward to seeing going forward?
Oh, I mean, I definitely want to see the new Bond.
Oh, it's awesome.
I haven't seen it yet.
So good.
We love Bond. Speaking of, my vote is for Tom Hardy to be the next one.
Yes,
his
please.
name constantly gets thrown around in those rumors. It's like, if it's not Idris Elba being talked about, who I think at this point has said he feels like he's too old for it. Yeah, Tom Hardy's always the top contender. He would just be
perfect for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. They had the chance to do Clive Owen, and they missed the boat on that. Clive Owen would have been a perfect James Bond.
Yeah. Who's Clive Owen?
Clive Owen, Children of Men. He was the main guy in that.
Okay. I don't know. That sounds familiar.
He's one of those actors who, like, as soon as you see him, you'll be like, oh, I've seen him in 3 or 4 things. He's a really great actor, and he should have been James Bond. And one of the Pink Panther movies that Steve Martin made.
Yeah, I watched those.
He actually played a parody of Bond, like 008 or something like funny. That. So yeah, it would have been perfect for him.
He would have been good, but he's too old now, right?
Yeah, him and Idris Elba are both in their 50s, I believe. So I don't think either one of them would want to do it at this point. I know Pierce Brosnan's like, I'll come back as a villain, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming up. Well, Skylar, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been awesome. As we wind down here, where can the people find you? Obviously, they can be a part of the 10.3 million people on Spotify checking out your music. But beyond that, on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, where your new music can be found, and your new album too.
Yeah, I mean, keep a lookout for the new album probably early next year. And then I'm really active on Instagram for the most part. So find me on there. It's Skylar Grey. Super easy.
And it's spelled with an A at the end of Skylar too.
Yeah, with an A, Skylar, and Grey is the last name.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Chris, any other parting thoughts before we ride off into the sunset here?
I just noticed it says you're from Mezomany, Wisconsin.
Yeah, Mezomany.
Mezomany. I think I've actually been there before. I only live like 2 hours away in McHenry County, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a martial arts instructor for years. So we used to have a bunch of tournaments all over Wisconsin. And that sounds extremely familiar.
Huh. Small world.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, on that note, Skylar, thanks so much again for joining us. This has been awesome.
Thank you.